I'm a guy that's 25. Lego Star Wars is my life. I like Ryan Johnson. I'm Rich Boy J. Hello boyos, Rich Boy J here back with another video, and this is going to be another episode of collecting every LEGO Star Wars minifigure that has been made. If you're unfamiliar with the series, the title is pretty much what it is, right? I'm collecting every single LEGO Star Wars minifigure. This does include the rare figures like the Cloud City Boba Fett. This does not include the super rare one-off figures like the 14 karat gold C-3PO. As the title suggests, this is going to be a very special video, so I just want you guys to stay tuned in this video until the very end. There is an Empire Strikes Back level twist in this video, so just stay tuned. We're gonna get to it. I think you guys will really appreciate it. But first up, we're gonna look at two probe droids. I honestly feel like these barely deserve to be in this video. If you're wondering why one of them is on a stand and one of them is not on a stand, it's because that is how Bricklink classifies these figures. One of them is probe droid with stand, and one of them is probe droid without stand. The one without the stand came in a 2017 foil pack by itself, so that's why I have it kind of squatting here by just on the plate that I'm holding. And then the other one came in the 2017 Tracker 1 Freemaker Adventure set, and it came with a stand. The builds are pretty much exactly the same on both of them. I think in general, I'm just not a huge fan of this style of LEGO probe droids. I think they've had better probe droids that they've designed. These just look very squashed and, I don't know, just like weirdly stubby in my opinion. I think the probe droid design should be a bit taller. These honestly kind of look like hamburgers, so not my favorite probe droid design by a long shot, but there's just two extra figures that I need to add to my collection, so I can't super complain about that. Next up, we have two what I think are much better figures. First up, we have Fifth Brother, and I really like this figure a lot. I mean, it has a custom like armor shoulder plate and back holder for the lightsaber mold, and even a custom hat mold or a helmet. I don't know what you call this. Like, maybe it's a hat. I don't know. But I like the figure a lot. You can see there's some pretty decent detail in the face, and one thing I gotta give LEGO credit for, usually when they're printing color on like a black headpiece, the color can become super affected by whatever like color is beneath it, but this I think looks totally appropriate. They did a good job printing the face on this black head, and you can see on the other side he has a more angry face, which is cool. Nice to have a double printed face for this guy. Also, the shoulder pads have a bunch of print on it. Actually, it has some silver print in the middle here. There's these two circles and then the two Imperial logos on his shoulders. So that's pretty nice. His torso and leg print is also pretty good. This isn't something that typically looks great with LEGO, getting like the waist print to line up with the torso. And you can see, I mean, it's not great here. There's that tiny little gap between the hips and the torso, and then that's not ideal, but you know, this is what you really come to expect when LEGO tries to get printing to line up from the torso to the hips. It usually doesn't work out in one way or another. I'll also go ahead and quickly show you guys his back print. Let's take off all this armor. And here you have his back print. Also looks pretty good for a Rebels figure. And you know, these Rebels figures and just anything from Rebels were so stylized. I think this guy looks pretty good. He doesn't look as dumbed down, in my opinion, as a lot of the other Rebels figures looked, so I appreciate that. I guess I also should mention, this is from the 2016 Captain Rex's ATTE set. Next up is the Imperial Astromech droid. This is from the 2015 Imperial Assault Carrier set. And how I praise this one for not being super dumbed down in terms of just the quality of print. For being a Rebels figure, I feel like this one goes in the opposite direction. A lot of just the lines and details on the canister, the main body part of this droid just look so simple in my opinion compared to especially the recent droids we get. Like the printing just looks so much better on those, and I really don't like when LEGO does this. I get that the cartoons have their own style, and LEGO tries to translate that onto their minifigs, but it just never really works out. Like I would be I would be much more willing for them to do something that is, you know, trying to imitate what the figure or the character in question might look like in live action, and maybe it doesn't look as accurate to the cartoon, but it at least still fits in with all the rest of the figures that are trying to imitate something from live action. The cool thing about this droid, I suppose, is the fact that it has a clear head with some red printing on it. It's honestly kind of hard to see with just the glare off of the transparent head. But I think that's a cool thing about this. If I were just wanting to make like a custom droid, I'd probably use this head. It's a cool head, and I just leave the body somewhere else. I'd probably put it on a more detailed black droid body. Next up, we have three more, I want to say Clone Wars figures. They aren't all necessarily Clone Wars figures. Most of them are, and then Django is a figure that relates to clones. First up, we have the Nicto Guard. This is from the 2013 HH-87 Starfighter. That was a set with Reiko Hardin, which is kind of funny to think about. But this is, man, like, this is a Clone Wars figure through and through. The eyes aren't as big and buggy as some other Clone Wars figures. Like you can see, this guy just has some huge bug eyes. The Nicto isn't as bad, but it's still, I don't know, the printing just looks, once again, so dumbed down because it's a Clone Wars figure, and I really think that works against this figure. Like, we got some cool, like, unique aliens from the Clone Wars sets, which would look great, I think, if you just wanted aliens to populate other mocks that you were building. But the fact that he has this, like, overly simplistic Clone Wars style makes me not want to use him in mocks, and that's unfortunate, because I like the Nicto design in general in Star Wars, and I would really appreciate if they didn't purposefully dumb down their printing just so it can be in line with the cartoon. He has some back print, and you can see the satchel thing kind of goes across the front and the back, and I guess it's kind of cool. No leg printing though. Like I said, this figure is really suffering from the dumbed downness of Clone Wars printing. So it's so weird. You go from a figure like this, you know, very dumbed down, and you go to a figure that's 2 years older than it, and like the printing on this thing is just immaculate. This is the Wolfpack Trooper from the 2011 Republic Frigate set. This was an expensive figure. I think I paid about $37 for it. That was the cheapest one I could find on Bricklink, and that's pretty expensive for a clone that's not even a named clone, honestly. But I think it's well worth it just because the printing on this thing is incredible. Like, I love the wolf design on the helmet. That just looks so freaking awesome to me. The leg print also looks great. The torso print. It's the Clone Wars torso print, but I guess with this figure, I don't know, all the other parts of the figure look so nice that I'm kind of willing to look past the fact that it's the Clone Wars printing. If you look on the back of the figure, you can see that the sand blue color is present at the top of it, just to kind of match up with the top half of the like chest armor. And like I said, this is a fantastic looking figure. Like, I really wish we got more of these guys. I wish this wasn't just kind of a one-off in a pretty expensive set, but I love this figure. I'm so happy to have it in my collection now. And if you look at like how this figure is dumbed down because it's a Clone Wars figure, they clearly did not take any shortcuts with this guy. This guy has more detail than it probably deserved for being a 2011 Clone Wars figure, but I'm not complaining about that. I really do like this figure. The next figure we have is the Santa Django Fett figure. This was from a 2013 Advent Calendar set. And there's not really too much to talk about with the helmet. It's a standard Django helmet, standard Django smirking face. Red pants, no printing on it, but the thing that's unique about this figure is, of course, the torso print. Some people really do like these Santa-style Star Wars figures. I think they're cute. You know, they're fine. I would be totally fine if they never happened. It's not something I think is super, like, crucial to my LEGO Star Wars collection, but, you know, it's just a nice, fun thing for LEGO to do from time to time, and it's also pretty cool to get, like, a Santa-style Mandalorian armor. You can even see, like, his belt has some presents on it, which is kind of funny right there. If we flip it around, you can take his backpack off, you can get a look at the back of the armor, which once again, it's the Mandalorian style armor from the back, and he even has like the fluffy little Santa Claus style neck collar. So like, it's a cute figure. You know, it's like I said, I'm not super into these Santa figures. They're just, not something I need for my collection. When it comes to me with minifigs, like I would sacrifice this for any side character that we hadn't gotten in Star Wars. Like that's just me. I love accuracy. I love getting things that are canon. But you know, if Lego's gonna do this, I'm not gonna hold it against them. I think it's a very cute and fun thing for them to do. And now for the moment that you all have been waiting for. I know the title has led up to this moment, and I'm super excited to show you this. I don't even want to milk it. I'm sure most of you can guess what this is going to be. But I got a Chrome C-3PO. Yeah, I have a Chrome Gold C-3PO. But there's quite a story behind this figure. So let me try to just explain to you like how I came in possession of this thing. So there was an auction on eBay. I got this from eBay. And the bids weren't super high. It was like $50 with maybe a couple of days left. So I was like, oh, I'll watch that. The seller noted that it was in used condition. So, you know, I kind of expected for it to not be in great condition. Like having it in my hands now, it's definitely in used condition. Like you can tell like some of the marks on it. But I didn't super mind that. I was like, if I can get this for a decent price, like I'd be willing to look past that. So I ended up basically winning the bid at $200, but the reserve wasn't met, which was pretty disappointing. Like I was looking forward to getting this for a pretty decent price, and the fact that the reserve hadn't been met was pretty annoying. But what the seller actually did was they relisted it immediately after the auction for $200. So I was like, okay, awesome. I like immediately bought it. And the seller sent it to me, and I got it in. And I was like, oh my god, yes, a Chrome Gold C-3PO, one of the most rare Lego minifigures out there. So I get this figure, and of course, my first inclination is, I gotta make sure it's legit. Like, the seller sent me photos, and I'm pretty sure it's legit, but you gotta do the Lego legit test. So you pull the torso off, you check the top of the legs, make sure that Lego logo is there. It's kind of hard for you guys to tell, but yes, the Lego logo is there. So I'm like, cool, the legs are at least real. And I'm like, okay, let's make sure the torso is real. So I try to take the head off, and the head literally will not come off. It's static. I was convinced it was glued, and I was pretty annoyed. I was like, crap, did the seller send me this with the head glued on? Like, it was impossible to get off. So I looked it up, and some other people had actually had that same issue with this figure. It's just, if you have this chrome figure, you know, the chromes just are more sticky than the normal Lego print. So it actually just kind of got stuck, and I had to run it under some warm water to get the head off. But now the head pops off actually just fine, and I could verify, yes, the torso is real, and the head is real as well, obviously. So I was like, okay, cool. And then I saw something that kind of confused me. If you check under the legs, inside of one of the legs, you can see this right leg on the inside. It has the chrome gold, but on the inside of the other leg, there is not the chrome gold. And like, you can really see it from the back, right? Like this left leg is like chrome on the inside. The right one is not chrome on the inside. And then I was thinking, oh crap, like, did they just like maybe get a keychain that didn't have like the chrome on the inside and replace this leg at some point? And like, I don't actually have the full set of legs. But I looked that up too, and apparently that's a thing. Like, one of the legs is just chrome on the inside, and one of them just isn't. Which I really don't understand. Like, how does that even happen, like, just from a production standpoint? But I was like, whatever, I'm at least happy that this figure is complete. It's totally fine. The day the package came in, I was so excited. I opened it up, and I noticed something wrong. If you haven't noticed up until this point, this figure is actually misprinted. The torso print is much lower than it should be. You can see that the torso print is not supposed to come down over the legs, over the hips. It's just supposed to be on the torso. But the printing on mine is much lower than it should be. This was pretty disappointing, as you could imagine. Like, I was just like, oh my god, like, how did I not notice that? I was so excited about the prospect of getting a cheap chrome gold C-3PO that I hadn't even noticed that it was misprinted, and the seller didn't say it was misprinted. So I was just kind of like, crap, like, that really sucks. Like, this is such an expensive figure, and, you know, I got it for cheap, so I couldn't complain too much, but I really did just want a misprinted one. So I started thinking, like, what the heck am I going to do with this figure? It's a pretty rare figure, right? Like, it's rare just on its own, but it's not in super great condition. But it is misprinted, which probably makes it even more rare. Like, maybe I could sell this and get some good money for it, and then just buy another one. And but then I'm like having a misprinted one is kind of cool, right? Like maybe I would just like to have a misprinted one in my collection, but then like it's not correct, so that might bother me. So I just had so many thoughts racing through my head, and I wasn't really sure what to do with this figure. So I did something kind of crazy. I bought a second one. That's right. I have two chrome gold C3POs. This one is not misprinted. This one is in pretty amazing condition. And I got this one for a very good price, especially considering the fact that this one on the right actually came with the original bag. So I do have this, and this is also in amazing condition. I love that they opened it just, pretty basically from the top. They didn't just rip into this. So the bag is actually in amazing condition. This is a total impulse type purchase. Like I saw it on Bricklink, and I messaged the seller, and I asked them, are you okay selling it for a little bit less than it was listed for, even though the listing price was fine. And he said he was fine with it, and I was like, okay, like awesome. And then he even let me know, he's like, oh yeah, it also comes with the bag. And I'm like, even better, like that's better for that price. So I was pretty hype. Like having the misprint one was cool, but I still just wasn't fulfilled. It's like you go through this journey to get this like super rare figure, and then it ends up not really being correct. So a person like me, I was just like, it wasn't gonna sit well with me to only have the misprinted one. So I went ahead and I got the not misprinted one for that reason. Now, if you're looking at these two figures and you're like, okay, Jay, the one on the right maybe isn't misprinted, but why does the printing look different? This is another reason I was actually willing to get this, because there are actually two variations of this figure. Back when LEGO did the promotion in 2007 and they put these in random sets, there was basically a US version and a European/Australian version. So the one that had misprinted is the US version. The one over here that's not misprinted and in much better condition is the European/Australian version. So just thinking about me and my collection and how I like to be a holistic collector, I was like, you know what, maybe I'll just keep both, because I would like to have both variants, considering it's such a rare figure. Like it will be kind of annoying that there's like that other one variant out there that I don't have. So having both of them would actually be kind of cool. The difference in the print is basically they just included more, I guess, like shadow detail in the torso of the European version, which is so weird. Like I have no idea why they did that, but that's just the biggest difference. I think the back is mostly the same on both of them, as you can tell. And the back is the same, it's not super detailed like you'd get nowadays on a figure. It doesn't compare to like the TC14 chrome print on it, but that was to be expected in 2007. There is no leg printing whatsoever, and there's also no printing on the head of this figure. So from just a detail perspective, these aren't fantastic figures by any means. It's just the fact that they're chrome gold is really what sets these above anything else. One kind of interesting thing about the way LEGO applied the chrome to these figures is they didn't do it like individually. They actually just had the torso assembly together, and they just sprayed the chrome while the arms were positioned forward. So you'll see there's this like gap here on the side where there's no chrome applied, and that's basically because whenever they applied it, the arms were like this, I presume. And you can see that's basically, it's the same on both of these figures. So it's kind of, for such a premium figure, it's funny that they couldn't even take the time to just apply the chrome to the torso and then attach the arms. The same thing basically applies to the legs. So if you bend the figures over, you'll see at the top of the legs, there is that tan sticking out, which was basically the base of the figure. So little things like that, if you've never, had a chrome C3PO in your possession, you might not know about. But there's lots of interesting things about this super rare figure. I really wanted to do a close-up, somewhat in-depth review of these figures, because like once I got my misprinted one in, like I started researching, I tried to find videos just, confirming that certain elements of it were accurate, and I couldn't find like a single super good thorough review of them. They're just, this is a rare figure, so I don't expect for there to be tons of them, but I couldn't even find one like up-close, high-def recent review of these. So I just want to give you guys just a good, decent look at both of these rare figures, both variants of them. So if you have any questions about whether or not yours is accurate, you can compare them to mine, and I can assure you mine are accurate. But I'm super happy to say I have 2 out of the 10,000 limited edition chrome gold C3POs. I guess I kind of consider this a birthday present to myself. I wouldn't normally spend this much money on minifigures in such a short gap of time, but I felt, you know what, let me treat myself, and ended up treating myself twice. So I'm super excited to have these, and I cannot wait to put these on the minifig wall. So let's go ahead and do that. Now let's check back in on the minifig wall. One thing I have to say, I feel like for the first time in this series that the wall is finally looking just very close to being completed. There's no one area with a ton of gaps. It's mostly filled in. And I think what actually helped with that was this week I built a few sets that I needed to get the figures out of to add to the wall. Namely, I built the turbo tank, which included two pretty awesome Jedi figures. Let me see if I can find those real quick. Right here, Luminar and Quinlan Vos are both now chilling right there. You also notice fifth brother ended up being placed right next to them. So that helped fill in some gaps here. I also built the Death Star final duel set, so I got to place my Emperor figure here. That's the one without the spongy cape. Same with Jedi Master Luke, and then the Type 2 Vader, also without the spongy cape. As for some of the other figures that I added to this wall, we really stuck to the middle section of the wall, so we got that beautiful Wolfpack. So we have that beautiful Wolfpack clone trooper up here chilling next to Eve Koth and Clone Wars Quinlan Vos. I just need to get that Commander Wolf figure. That one is another super expensive one. It's almost twice the price of this one, and this one is expensive. So that Wolf is one I desperately need. Another figure we added to the wall. We also have the Santa Django Fett chilling over here. So it's awesome to have him finally on the wall. If we move over to the right, we have our 41st Elite Corps clone trooper right here, which is surprisingly the first time I've added it to the wall. So one thing you guys might not notice is this is actually the older version of this figure. There's a newer one, like in the, I can't remember if it came in the AT-AP or the Droid gunship. I know it came in at least one of those, but basically the ones in those sets are actually slightly different. It's just literally the leg print. I have the newer Gree and 41st troop down here. You can see those guys are chilling. But the one that came in like the original Kashyyyk Trooper Battle Pack and that Clone Turbo Tank are different. So that's something you might not have been aware of. Same thing with the Gree in that set. And then, of course, finally, we have the Chrome Gold C-3POs. Both of them. I had never imagined anytime soon I would be saying that I have a Chrome Gold C-3PO on my wall, much less two of them. Two Chrome Gold C-3POs are on the wall. I love that they're so shiny. Like, they really stick out on the wall. Like, if you were just kind of casually observing, I think your eyes would be drawn towards the two shiny chrome figures on the wall here. So that's nice for two figures that are so expensive. And you can see I have them basically oriented this way. Unfortunately, Bricklink doesn't, and Brickset also doesn't really distinguish between the UK and USA variants of the figure, so I just decided to put them both on the same peg, but also try to display them together by not having just like one on top of the other, so you can see like, oh, there's a difference between the two. This one has more print. Cool, awesome, moving forward. But wow, what a minifig update, guys. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I thought was an Empire Strikes Back level twist to the video. I knew from the title most of you would be expecting that I got the Chrome Gold C-3PO, but I don't think many of you, if any, suspected that I might actually end up with two of them in this video. So that brings the video to a close. The wall is looking amazing. It's looking so full. Honestly, just can't believe we've come this far. Like, Cloud City Boba Fett, Chrome Gold C-3PO. The last super expensive figure I need is honestly that New York I Heart Yoda figure, which unfortunately is even more rare than the C-3PO somehow. And it's difficult because that one has a ton of fake versions out there that aren't as easy to decipher from the like actual one. Like the fake Chrome C-3POs are pretty easy to tell apart from the real ones, but that Yoda might be a problem. I'm probably not going to focus on that now though. Now that I've gotten these huge expensive figures out of the way, I'd probably focus on some less expensive figures to fill in a lot of these gaps, and also just building more sets, like this huge gap right here. All these figures, those are all from the Ewok Village, and I own that set, so maybe I'll build that soon. And I think I have a few other sets I still need to open up and get the figures out of. But that is the minifig wall, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like what I do, go ahead, support the video by hitting the like button, support the channel by smashing that subscribe button, and I'll be back again very soon.